Guys, welcome to my rankings of the top 5 Ascension teams in North America for the first split. This is ranking how I feel about the teams, whether they are teams that are confirmed or current or teams that have already been announced. So let's get straight into it. So at number 5, I have FaZe Clan, who has their roster from last year. So everyone here, minus Flya and minus Larry Banks. So they're trialing a fifth right now. But I still feel good about this core no matter what. Dicey and Baby Bay, the duo. The only thing I would be slightly worried about is Dicey, because he just only played Chamber when he was good. So hopefully he can learn something like Jet, maybe Raze, or maybe go back to that flex role that he was okay at previously for FaZe. And then at number 4, I have G2, who has their full roster announced as Shaz, Dapper, Whippy, Oxy, and Penny. And my problem with this team is the roles. You have Oxy and Penny, who both play Duelist. Oxy plays, let's see, he plays these agents pretty much. Hasn't really played for, he was on Dark Ratio. I didn't even know that. But yeah, he played Duelist for a while. But my main problem is Penny, who, when he plays Duelist, he is a top 5 Duelist in NA. But V1, for whatever reason, kept putting him on flex, like, for the second stage of the year. Don't know why. And those were always where he struggled. So, I don't get the decision. I feel like you could pick up a better, like, Smokes player or maybe an Initiator player, because depending on what you want Dapper and Whippy to play, like, if you pick up a Smokes player, Whippy could go to Sentinel, Dapper could go to Initiator. And if you pick up an Initiator, then you keep the roles the same and just plug them in. So, I don't know. I just don't like the roles. I like the other decisions that Shazam get a redemption chance from last year with Sen. Dapper always played really well. And Imi, who is great. And I think he'll be a very good coach for this team. So there's potential here. I just don't think the roles will work out. And then number 3, I have Shopify Rebellion, who has their roster announced. I think they're maybe the only other. Yeah, okay. We have one team left that hasn't announced. But I'm really not sure what the roles are going to be on this team. I mean, they've played a couple tournaments together where Vic is playing Smokes in one, and he's playing Smokes and Reyna, and then Moose is playing Smokes in another. I don't entirely know what's going on. But if I were to, I mean, the roles that I think that they will play should be good. I'm just not entirely sure what they're going to be. And if they're bad, then I don't know. But but what I think they would do is B-Dog on, like, the Jet and maybe Chamber if people play him at all. Mod on, like, the entry characters like Raze, Neon, Phoenix, and KO, depending on what the meta is like again. And then Vic and Dazzle on Initiators, and then Moose on Smokes, with Vic being able to transfer to Sentinel if needed. Overall, I do really like this roster. I'm just kind of have some pause with the roles because I don't know what's going on here. And then number 2, we have the Guard, who have their same team from last year, except Saya, who went to T1, back to T1, which is just still hilarious. And they're adding Tex into it, which was reported by George Gads. It's on Flynn's spreadsheet, FLYNN_VLR on Twitter. I'll link it in the description. And I would rank this team number 1 in the Chamber meta, where Tex could play Chamber on pretty much every map, but when he hasn't been on Chamber, his showings have not been very good. I mean, remember the stage 1 stat, I don't remember what it was, but it was essentially just calling Tex bad when he was playing Flex. So, we'll see. I think he'll probably end up playing, like, the Jet, maybe some other duelists, we'll see. But I think this roster doesn't really with not knowing what Tex is going to play. Doesn't really stand up to my number one team, M80, who I'm very excited about this team. I don't know, like, I think these top five teams are pretty close. I think any of these teams could win. There's obviously other teams that are like competitive, but I don't think they'll win, like TSM, maybe Dark Ratio with adding Will in there. Oxygen, I think, built a pretty good roster. Protagonist, who's like a FA team, but apparently, according to Flynn's spreadsheet, they're like some connection there with like a Mr. Beast org. I don't know what that's about. And then I think Sonics has a couple good players as well, where they can win some games, be pretty competitive, but I don't think they're gonna win anything. But M80, I think, should be the favorite to win it all. I think EU would be a franchise player if not for the Saucy import. Uh, I never thought Ghost IGLing was too great under John, but I think him and Xander combined should be okay with Xander's IGL background. Not even entirely sure how that even worked in V1, but I think taking him off of a main IGL role where John's going to be playing, I think lets him play more like a Marv style controller, but in which is very good, and I very much like that. I also think Nismo, I think he was on the edge for me. I think you gotta have Victor, you gotta have the Asanas, you gotta have the Zekins of the world in before him. So, and a lot of teams don't want to just make a change for a tiny upgrade and lose all of their chemistry that they had before. Like, I don't think Optic was getting rid of Victor, or NRG, that is, now. And I don't think 100 Thieves was getting rid of Asuna. The only one I could have seen was Sentinels, but obviously they got Zekin, who's just better. So, overall, I think NA, the most stacked region for Ascension, by far. It's not even close. Like, EMEA, I know like a couple players in Ascension and like one team. And then APAC, obviously, I just don't know a ton about APAC. I think Scary's in Ascension for whatever reason. He just got paid the big bucks by Bleed. But yeah, that was my top five. So just as a review, I had M80 number one, as you can see here. The guard at number two, because of possible tech concerns with Chamber. Shopify three with concerns about the roles. I think they wouldn't have been ahead of M80 anyway. G2, same thing. I think if they had an initiator player, they'd actually be number one for me instead of Oxy. And then FaZe would probably be number four if we knew who their fifth was. So they also with FaZe, they won't have a ton of time practicing anyway. So I don't think they'll do a ton the first split, but I think they'll be pretty good. But yeah, that was my Ascension rankings. I'm probably going to be doing some team and player rankings for 2022. That'll be coming out soon after this, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll